It seems we may be seeing the second demise of the music genre, as of course we had the recent reports regarding Rock Band 4 and of course the financial problems for Mad Catz, and now Activision have said that Guitar Hero Live also didn't do very well. Now this was revealed in a financial call from Activision, which basically said that the game suffered, quote, lower than expected performance, which basically means it didn't sell as much as they thought. Now, it is entirely possible that they had too high expectations. We have seen this attitude before from other companies. Most famous in recent memory, of course, is Square Enix, who said that 6 million units sold of Tomb Raider wasn't enough, and that was just bonkers to most people. So that could be a factor here. And basically it was the same story for Rock Band 4. It didn't sell well enough, so obviously the retailer selling it cut the price, and which means any sale Mad Catz did make was less money towards the company. Now obviously this was a return for the series, which had originally been killed over declining sales, over the market basically got not even saturated, it was flooded to the point where there was nothing but water around. So without actual figures and sales and all that, we can only speculate as to what happened. I can only theorise that potentially there's an over-expectation, or maybe there's not. Without seeing the figures, I don't know. So let's talk a few theories as to what could have gone wrong. Well, one of them is, well, people might just be less willing to fork out a lot of money for their costly peripherals than they were when this music genre boom was first happening. And then, you could maybe even argue, well, who wants a, bulky plastic guitar and maybe even a drum kit or whatever clogging up the living room? And obviously, there's the cost. With Rock Band 4, you could make use of your old guitars, even that of the competition as far as I understand. But with Guitar Hero Live, there was no option to use your old guitar or drum kit or anything that you had from the past iterations. So you literally had no choice but to get the expensive bundle. This undoubtedly put a few people off because, that's quite a lot of money to fork out on a single product. And of course, Rock Band 4 had other problems with its backwards compatibility. Guitar Hero Live, of course, didn't have any, which naturally put off people who bought a huge amount of DLC of songs on songs of the past, and obviously now they couldn't use them with this new one. Rock Band 4 was supposed to have it, but in the EU, on PS4, hundreds of songs were unavailable, even though they were available in North America, and of course on Xbox One. So each game had, or each iteration, or the competing games, each had their own problems. And it could possibly lead to the demise again of the music genre. Now, it's fairly clear from the way Guitar Hero Live was laid out and how it handled DLC and songs that they were using it as a platform to build upon, to give you DLC, etc. in the future. Nothing wrong with DLC on its own, but of course, as I've said before, it's all in the execution. And if, it's not doing well enough, there's obviously concern that they just won't bother to support it with DLC. Naturally, the developer of Freestyle Games are hoping that Guitar Hero Live does better, so that Activision sticks with the plan to support it with DLC. And you kind of get a chicken and egg situation where people aren't playing because it's not supported, but it's not supported because people aren't playing. So we could very well be looking at the demise of the music genre again. We don't have a perfect example of the return of the music genre. I mean, Rock Band 4 looked like it could have been it. Like, hey, you can use your old controller and you can even play your old songs that you spent money on back in the day. I mean, that sounds good, right? But obviously problems and perhaps other things were just led to poor sales. Perhaps people just moved on from that. Yes, the reason they cancelled it in the first place was saturation, and while it's been a few years, people were probably still like, you know what, that was then and this is now, and the people who played those games might have moved on. And while there was obviously enough interest for them to sell, probably a significant amount, not enough to actually warrant further support. I don't want the series to die. In fact, Guitar Hero Live, despite its problems, I really like the changes for the first person and the live crowd, and that really kind of gave you the terror that you must feel as like playing your first gig and all of that. I like those changes, so I don't know. I'm not really sure what could have caused it. I think primarily it's the fact that people perhaps weren't overly enthralled by the idea of coming back, or it was just too expensive to get into for whatever reason. and they just didn't have the space anymore. You know, there's various reasons it could have been. But I'd love to hear your theories as to why we're seeing this decline already of the return of the music genre, and is there anything that both companies can do to bolster interest from the communities? Do let me know your thoughts, guys. I'll see you next time.